Hi friends, this is Bear and welcome to AussieBearBudgets and welcome to a walk and talk. So I am heading to my son's for the day and I am looking forward to it very much. I've got to pay attention to where I'm walking so that I don't get run over or fall flat on my face. Awkward. Yeah, so I'm having the day with my son today. He's cooking lunch. I don't know what he's going to make, but every time he cooks lunch, it's absolutely divine. When I was in 2 weeks ago, hold on. Yes, when I was in at his place 2 weeks ago, he cooked a marinated lamb shoulder with seasoned like roasted vegetables. Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. I'm just slowing down a bit. Something that I did want to talk about while I'm on this walk is a bit of a life reset that I'm working on, and one of one of the things that I'm trying to get under control is how much I rush. Like, I rush to do everything. I rush when I'm walking. I rush to do everything. And I think that's overflow from when I used to live in Sydney, because I lived in Sydney for almost 20 years, and in Sydney you do everything fast, otherwise you get left behind. And I'm still, even though I've been back living in the country for 18 years, I'm still rushing everywhere. I still do everything fast and try to squeeze too much into my time. You know, it's all well and good to be efficient with our time, but I think there comes a time when you just need to stop and smell the roses, for lack of a better way of putting it, just stealing a cliche there. So yeah, that's something I'm working on, is trying to slow down, especially when I'm walking. Like when I walk up to the lodge, I rush. You know, I'm just full speed ahead, and then I get up there and I've got to stand for 5 minutes to catch my breath. So yeah, anyway, I'm working on a bit of a life reset at the moment, because let me go back a bit. So 13 years ago my mother died, and I was her primary carer. And so when she passed away, I went from caring for somebody 24/7, which I absolutely loved. She was my mother and we had a close relationship. So I went from that to nothing overnight, and I got really lost, and my mental health suffered to the point where I ended up having a breakdown. And so that landed me in therapy for 6 months, which was the best thing ever. I highly recommend it. But yeah, so I landed in therapy, and during the course of that 6-month experience, I learned how to read the signs, and I learned how to understand myself better, along with a lot of other things, but they're the two primary things that really changed. And in terms of recognizing the signs, it now means that when I go through different stages in my life, now I recognize the signs of when my mental health is starting to suffer. And that's what I've been experiencing in the last 3 months, because there's been a change in my life, and I clearly don't deal with change very well. And I have learnt about myself that I learnt primarily that you can actually be a fly by the seat of your pants type of person and still be very routine. So whilst I do in some areas of my life, now I'm going down steps here, so let me pay attention. So while I do in some areas of my life fly by the seat of my pants and just go with the flow and do things, you know, in a whimsical way, in terms of the functionality of basic everyday life, I am extremely routine. And so having learnt that about myself, I'm just going to pause here for a minute. Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Yes, in terms of my everyday life, I need routine. I need a schedule. And currently I don't have one. I've never really had one, to be honest. And that is part of the problem, because what has changed in my life is my daughter has started dating. She's been with her boyfriend now for 3 months, and as a result of that, my routine, not so much my schedule, because it never really was scheduled, but my day-to-day routine has changed in that, like, we share the cooking, but at least, 2 nights during the work week, like during Monday to Friday, she's at her boyfriend's for dinner, and on the weekend she's almost always with her boyfriend all weekend, whether that be overnight or she just goes and spends time with him on Saturdays and then again on Sunday. Alright, I'm pausing again. How are you? Yeah, good. You're doing a beautiful job. You're worth more money. So where was I up to? Yeah, so that's a huge part of my routine that's changed, because she's often not home, and so on a night when she would cook dinner, I suddenly find myself thinking, okay, what am I going to eat? Which is not a big deal. You eat something out of the cupboard or out of the fridge, but because I hadn't planned for that, more often than not I'm having a bowl of cereal or a bowl of Easy Mac for dinner, which is not the best thing for me. So I have been thinking a lot about getting myself into a routine, getting myself prepared, getting things in place that will make it easier for me to be a little bit more a little bit more prepared, I guess, for again, lack of a better way to put it. Pausing again. So yeah, I have been looking into ways to get my mental health under control, ways to get myself a little bit more back on schedule, because having too much chaos, I mean, there's some areas of my life where chaos is okay, it works, it's okay, because it's not, in those areas, they're not areas that I need in order to function. But in the areas where I do need to function in my day-to-day life, I need to get myself sorted out. And one of those areas is my housework. And I do the basics. The dishes get done, the laundry gets done, the floor gets swept. But I have been periodically doing declutters, because that's something else. Like, I'm not a hoarder, but I am so over stuff that I've been trying to declutter. You know, what's the point of having it if I'm not using it? I don't see the point. So I'm not the type of person that has to, have a display cabinet to put all of my precious stuff in, because that sort of stuff's just not important to me. Oh, that car came around the corner. Wasn't expecting that. And, having a lot of trinkets and stuff like that on a bench or a shelf or something, it's just more stuff to dust. And I struggle to dust anything as it is. So, there's a lot of areas in my life where I just want to get things back under control and get on top of things so that I can get things in order and not feel so out of control or so cluttered or so buried. And I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but I've discovered through YouTube videos looking into decluttering and better ways to stay on top of, keeping my house in order and things like that, I have discovered a system that I really like and that I want to implement in order to get into a bit of a better routine and to remind myself, because, part of the problem is not doing these things, but it's remembering to do these things, especially when they're things that you're not doing every day. Like, you remember to clean your teeth because you do it every day. You remember to have a shower because you do it every day. But there are things that need to get done that don't get done every day, and I just plain forget to do them. Or they get pushed to the background for so long that suddenly it's been a year, And so I'm working on a bit of a life reset in order to make my life easier, to clear my brain, because another thing I want to do is implement a brain dump, a nightly brain dump, to get things out of my head in order to help me sleep better. Just off track for a minute. One of the things about having indoor cats is their need to get rid of fur balls. So when I'm out walking and I see grass like that, I'm like, that is good grass for indoor cats. And I want to take a handful of it to take home for my girls. But it's like, I'm not grabbing it now. I may grab some when I leave my son's place. Right, I'm just waiting to cross the road here. I'm on my way back from my son's place. I may grab some if I remember. So, yes, I'm a bit all over the place here with this video and what I'm talking about, but I hope that it makes sense. That, and I don't know if it's something that everybody else struggles with as well. So in the comments, maybe put whether this is something that you struggle with, and if so, what you do, like how you put things in place to counteract that, because that's what I'm sort of looking into at the moment. And I've got something that I want to start. I haven't started it yet, but once I get it all sorted out and worked out, also in the comments, let me know if that's something that you would like to see, whether you would like to have me do a video. I don't know, I just need to get some water because I've talked to myself hoarse again. Oh dear. I'm in the last block to my son's house. And it's these little things that give you a sense of control, or taking back control of your life. Like, for instance, now this is going to seem really stupid, but I mean, I am such a routine person, or such a OCD person in some areas, that going to my son's place, I would always walk on that side of the road. Because you turn the corner, you walk on that side of the road. That's the direction I'm going. But there's no footpath, and there's a really distinct slope on the walking area and on the side of the road, which makes it really difficult to walk on. But I was so anal or OCD that I would not cross the road, because when I get to my son's house, which is on the other side of the road, I have to cross back over. But I have broken through that. Victory! I have broken through that, and now I walk on this side of the road, which still has quite a distinct slope, but it has a footpath, and so it is much easier to walk on. And that's a little victory for me, who has these little quirks that tend to control my life. I know that'll probably sound silly, but that's a little victory for my mental health. And so, yes, I am working on a system that I saw on YouTube. It's not my system, but it's a system that I want to start putting in place and see how it works for me, and see whether, or it may be something that partially works, and I can tweak it here and there to suit me and my craziness and my needs, and so let's see how it goes. But yeah, put in the comments if, look, hello doggy, hi, what a beautiful dog. Yes. So let me know if this is something that you deal with, and if so, what you do to, like, how you stay on top of things, like whether that be your housework, whether that be meal planning, because I've never meal planned in my life, but I'm thinking now that I really need to start meal planning for myself, Not so much for my daughter and I, because, you know, now that she's spending so much time with Anthony, you know, she's doing her own thing, and rightly so. She's a grown woman, and I am so happy for her. Like, she is happier than she has been ever in her life. And he is a nice bloke, and I really like him. And I've known him for a long time. I've known him since he was a teenager, and I've known his mother just as long. And so I'm very happy for her. I know that she's got a good bloke, and he thinks the world of her, and so all of that is wonderful. So anyway, I have almost reached my son's place, so I'm going to end this here, but I hope you enjoyed it. My little bit of a chit chat about how out of control my life is, but also the steps that I want to take in order to get things back under control. Because I can't live my basic fundamental day-to-day life with chaos. There are areas of my life I can live in chaos, and that works, but not in the basic everyday function of my life. And so I'm just trying to get that back into control, because it's really been, the lack of control has really been playing on my mental health. And my mental health is very important to me, because it's something that I have dealt with for a long time, and I understand it so much better, and I see the signs of when things are about to get bad, and I don't want things to get bad again. Not like they were when I had my breakdown. So, yeah, let me know how you deal with things like that. And I'm just going to cross the road. Please like, subscribe, comment and share, and stay tuned for the next video. And in the meantime, take care, God bless, and I love you. Bye bye.